All right, recording has started, and this is the May 13th, 2025 Rook Community Meeting. Got our little crew here today, so let's get started. All right, as usual, let's start with our milestone checkups here. So let's see, when was the last community meeting? It was back in April. That was
5 weeks
right after
ago.
KubeCon. Yes, and I don't even think I mentioned that I was going to be there because that was when I was lying in my Airbnb in London, sick as I've ever been in my entire life. So I
Oh,
was dead to the world then, and I was definitely not at that community meeting. I apologize for that. Um, but we did do, if you look at these dates here, we did do a patch release since then. So let's just take a look quick then at the 1.16.7 release and see if there's anything worth mentioning there.
I think we just picked up a bunch of changes. I don't know if there's any worth calling out, but the Ceph version did get updated with, the default version. I thought that was a while ago. Anyway, I must be forgetting already.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, like April 16th was,
That was a while
almost a
ago.
month ago. Yeah, so
5 weeks ago,
it's
whatever.
true.
Uh, okay,
Okay,
anyway.
cool, 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 cool. All right, and then in a couple weeks we have an upcoming 1.16.8 that we're expecting, probably regular schedule there, and nothing that's like currently blocking that or really in progress now. So that'll probably just be pick up the regular train, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need to update or kick out some of these things that we're not really planning on for 1.16, since 1.17
Mhm.
is currently the backport focus. But of course, we can still backport to 1.16 if needed, but it'll be less frequent.
Yep. Yep. All right. So let's take a look then at 1.17, which is more activity and more action going on here. Travis, so we're just gonna quickly pull up these release notes and let's see if there's anything major to mention in any of those. We obviously have to go through ranking changes here. Yeah, this was the 1.17.0 release itself. Yeah. Let's have to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just after our last meeting we had the 117 minor release. So that's the all the release notes for that minor release. That's old news, right? I don't know if we need to read through it, but there's that, as usual, some new features and minor breaking changes that usually comes with it. Uh,
Travis, how many problems have we seen with like bumping the like the minimum version of Kubernetes itself? Have we seen like a lot of people lagging behind on that and having issues keeping up with that at all?
I don't feel like I've seen reports on that. I think they're either keeping it updated within our bounds, or honestly, I don't think there's hardly any issues we've had for many Kubernetes releases which would prevent it from running on older releases.
Yeah, it's not. It's like a suggest. It's like, okay, this is what we support. It's not like a hard block
Right.
that
It's
completely doesn't work, right?
just where we run the CI. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, no reports coming in of hey, this is causing a problem for the community or anything like that.
Exactly.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah. So some RGW users, thanks Josh and others. And I'm forgetting already all the features we had in there, but it's in the notes.
Too
That's why
many
we
to
have
count.
notes.
All right, let's take a look at some of the patch releases then after the 17.0 release.
Sure. Let's see. Well, in .1, I think we did it about a week after the .0, and some small changes, and also I think there was what's that first one? Specify sensitive Ceph config in the Ceph cluster CR via secrets. Okay, that was just a feature. I was thinking there was another urgent one, but now it's not standing out to me. So yeah, patch release.
All right. Yeah, let's check the 17.2 then real quick.
Oh, that's right. That now I remember that it was the Helm version was wrong by default in the chart. It was picking up master. We missed updating a tag. So the follow-up to that one is uh, thanks to Michael working on this, we have a script now that will go through and update the needed versions in that we commit with our version PRs that will make sure we don't miss that in the future. So that
Nice to have
will,
those safeguards in place. No, that's
yeah,
great.
hopefully not be an issue in the future. And then 117.2, I think, was just our kind of our biweekly release. That the date says it was yesterday, but it was actually on Thursday. So I'll talk more about that when you go back to the agenda. I've got some notes there on what happened with that release.
Yep,
A little
sounds
post-mortem.
good to do that now.
Yeah, um honestly, our releases have been very smooth for a long time. And so since it didn't go smooth this time, I just wanted to have a little post-mortem and be clear that yes, we're concerned with when there's a hiccup in the release and want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So here's what happened. So there
And
was a
Travis,
change.
so none of this
Okay.
had to do with like cleaning up the releases from our Rook AWS
No,
accounts.
no,
Okay, it's
yep,
completely unrelated to that. Shoot, that would be suspicious
yep,
timing, my friends.
right. Yeah, that I haven't seen any side effects from that. Just no Jenkins anymore around here for a long time. Yeah, so with this one, I made a change earlier last week that would stop publishing the doxing and release branch, except for the tagged builds. And we couldn't really test that in the release build until we actually tagged the build. But when we tagged it, there was an issue and the doc publish failed, unfortunately. It wasn't really clear what the issue was, so I just went ahead and reverted that change to get the release and the docs going again. And so with that fixed, then the docs are getting published. I I thought everything was good to go with the release. I thought it was just the docs that were affected. But the next day, a user noticed upstream that the Helm charts had not been published for that version 117.2. I'm like, oh, whoops, I overlooked that the Helm charts were not published after the docs failure. And so I went ahead and re-tagged the branch. I removed the tag, added the tag back. That's a procedure I haven't used for a long time, 2 or 3 years maybe. But in this case, it seemed appropriate. And after doing that, the CI ran again with basically a clean release, and everything was published as expected. Helm charts, docs, and everything. But then the next issue that came out of that was by re-tagging, then the GitHub release notes that were based on the tag went back to draft mode. And so someone on Monday asked, hey, where'd the release notes go? And I had to republish them. So yeah, that's not expected to happen, but that's what happened.
That's kind of weird behavior of GitHub. I mean, I guess sort of makes sense, but it's surprising, though. I could say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. First, I was
Uh,
confused, like, oh, didn't I publish those release notes? No, I did, but okay, retagging it caused that. So
Yeah. So looking back at it now, Travis, do you think it would have been a better course of action to just roll forward and not try to retag, but like increment the version number and roll forward to a new version?
right, I mean, we could have done that, and it would have saved that last release notes issue for sure. There were no other code changes in the release, so I don't know. Maybe we should have just rolled forward. I don't know, but then it'd be weird to have a missing release in the sequence. I don't know. Other opinions on it? I feel like I could feel like it was nice to retag and not skip release,
Yeah,
but
there's trade-offs for
yeah,
sure. I think if there hadn't been downstream implication or down consequences from it, then it's like, oh yeah, that was the easy decision there. But seeing other consequences makes it a little bit more challenging to be confident with the decision.
right.
I
The release notes
typically
issue is the only side effect I've heard of,
right, and
at
then yeah,
least.
that's not too bad. We can that's not like a critical bug that breaks somebody's cluster.
Right.
Yeah, I typically shy away from doing anything that like changes history in a Git repo. I pretty much
Yeah.
I'm scared of what might happen from that.
And that's probably a fair concern even for this simple retagging. It moved the commit like by one to pick up the docs change, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Seems reasonable though. Seems reasonable overall.
But okay. Won't happen again.
Yeah, and I do like that we've added like the checks you were talking about to make sure that the tagging in the chart is okay.
Right. And we do still have the shortcoming that we don't really have a way to test a tagged build until we tag it. So I have to be careful the next time I try and make that change because I got to revisit that issue we were trying to fix. But
Mm.
yeah, we'll get back to it.
Have you considered a time machine, Travis?
That would help for sure.
And Michael, you've got a comment in the doc here too about naming and terminology for postmortem versus retrospective.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure. Retrospective is
apologies for
preferred, I'd
just
say.
chiming in there. It's just
Yeah.
usually whenever anybody says postmortem, I feel, okay, this is so negatively connotated for me because of mortem in it. I much prefer using the retrospective. It sounds more positive to me. That's just a general comment. Not trying to dictate anybody what terminology to use here, Travis. Just a comment here.
Yeah, I like it
Yep.
better. I think
Yep. I
that was
think
just the
that's
first word that
reasonable.
came to mind. But yeah.
It's pretty general. And anyway, Travis, since you mentioned my contribution for release preparation, which makes me feel humbled. Thanks for doing that. And thanks for helping me doing that script to prepare the release, which I totally agree is quite useful, helping automate part of that tedious process. That's pretty cool. So this script, when it's run, it's preparing the commit that essentially is getting the release tag afterwards, more or less, or the merge commit for that is usually. So that is a script. It's in mass that will be there for in all the release branches when they're created. So it helps changing those docs and example artifacts to carry the new release tag instead of the old one. So that's what has been done there. And thanks for letting me help prepare this release with that script, Travis. Pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for your help, for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. Cool. And then 1.17.3 on the 22nd. That's the same regular schedule. I think along with maybe doing a
Bi-weekly,
1.16.8 too, if there's with the things that are backported.
yeah, that was my thought. I think, yeah, no urgent issues to get a release out for that I'm aware.
Awesome. That's good to know. Okay, quick sweet. I guess we move to 1.18. Just talking about initial timeline for that really at this point. There's not already a
Right.
project board for that, right, Travis?
No, I haven't done anything. Just I was putting these notes together this morning and thought, oh, we should at least say, yes, we need to plan it and probably August timeframe. But it's what, 3 months out. So we'll see later on tentative dates. If anybody has input or features they want to get in, we need to update the roadmap and things. If we have major features we'd like to mention there, that'd be nice. But honestly, I haven't thought too much about that yet.
Oh, yep. I think that's at this phase of the game, Travis. That's pretty reasonable to me.
Mhm.
Cool. Anything else for milestones, releases, roadmaps?
Not for me.
Okay, let's move on then to the community topics then. Yep, so
Yep.
KubeCon, there are a lot of KubeCons now, which is awesome to see them more available and accessible all around the world. That's pretty dope.
Great. Yep, KubeCon India submission was officially accepted. Subham had submitted that, and I think Topeka will be there, and then a couple other folks from IBM. So they're looking forward to that in August. Laturo is doing the one in Japan, all by his lonesome, and yep, I think that's. And then we've got. I haven't seen anything about the KubeCon submission for North America yet, but that's not till October or November in Atlanta. We'll see. So
When Yeah, and the deadlines for those maintainer socks and stuff for Atlanta, that's like July, right? I think it's not this month, it's not June. I think it's the deadline is July.
Probably. That
Okay.
sounds right.
Yeah, it's not a super pending coming up on us fast deadline, I don't think.
Exactly.
Great. Cool. Well, yeah,
And
it's
then
great that we got
this,
a coverage of the various KubeCons around the world as well. That's awesome to see that.
we just need someone to go to China for us, or be in China for the Rook community.
Be in China.
Or yeah, we haven't been to that one yet, I don't think. Or did you go to one once, Karen?
I went to Shanghai one time, but that now looking back, that was like 5 years ago. That was a good, or maybe 6. It was a good
Long time ago.
distance back in the past.
Yep.
And folks,
it was for
just
Rook, though.
out of curiosity, because there are so many places for KubeCons mentioned that I haven't been to in my life yet. Is there any KubeCon down under Australia or New Zealand at all?
I haven't heard any official KubeCons there. There's probably some community days for it's like the KCDs. I would have to imagine.
I think there should be a KubeCon Australia or New Zealand. That would be pretty interesting, I guess.
It sure would. I will agree with that statement, Michael.
I feel like I'd be surprised just because there's not a lot of community there, or at least that I know.
I mean, in the past, at least the LinuxCon Australia used to be a pretty big event, I think.
Mm.
At least I knew a couple of developers who went there and presented regularly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's LinuxCon. Still, these days, somewhat related to KubeCon, I guess.
Mhm.
Anyway, just saying, I haven't been to China and haven't been to to Japan and haven't been to any Asian country except for India. I mean, I've always almost been to South Korea once when there was a CEFLACon or so, but missed that. And even in the US recently, the places that I mentioned, like what was it last time? I think Chicago. I haven't been there, and even Atlanta, I haven't been there. So the only KubeCons I've been to were, I think, in Austin and in Seattle. I guess they were.
Those are good cities.
The,
It was a
yeah,
good
they
opportunities
are.
there. Not
They were
bad.
great event. And in Europe, I've been to what was it? I think Barcelona and maybe I don't know where else it has been. I have not been to Copenhagen. I haven't been to London, at least not for
Amsterdam.
KubeCon.
Yeah, Paris,
Yeah,
Valencia.
Paris, Amsterdam. I haven't been there for the KubeCons at least. I've visited those cities before, but still missed those great places for KubeCon.
Yeah, KubeCon does provide some nice opportunities for travel if if it's in the budget, that is. That's
Right,
always a
of
big
course.
sticky wicket there.
Indeed, yeah.
All right, Travis, do you want to catch us up then on the stuff releases as well?
Yeah, we had this note last month, so it's not really new news, but for V20 of Ceph, they did create the branch, tag it, whatever, to start the tentacle release process. I don't know when to expect the release. Hopefully sooner than like September, which is how long Squid took. But yeah, we'll see when it comes out. One thing I do know of for that's coming in Tentacle, it'll be really nice, is erasure coding performance improvements, like pretty significant.
That's awesome.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that gets done sometimes in the Ceph cluster erasure coding.
Yeah, people want to use it even for block and file with these improvements. So it will never be as good as replication, but it hopefully can be better. That's the goal.
Yep. Very cool. All right, well, that's everything that's on the agenda here. Anything else anybody wants to add before we adjourn?
I rolled out 1.17.2 to my production environment yesterday and nothing caught on fire. So
that is a positive statement there. I am happy to hear that. Even though it didn't have release notes for a little bit, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It had release notes, but I think, initially created on May 8th and then amended yesterday, I think, is what I understood from Travis. So they existed, but they were kind of superseded yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, they were invisible from Friday through Monday.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Thankfully, folks clusters didn't go down over the weekend then.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to be a smart aleck here, just how to basically correct a minor point here.
Yep, got to get the facts, Michael. Got to get the facts.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool. All right. Well, that's everything then. Good to see everybody this month, and then it looks like by the time we meet next time, we'll have a couple of patch releases out, make more progress towards fleshing out the 1.18 milestone, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, thanks.
Happy surfing till then. Good, Jared.
Yes. Thank you.
Happy surfing. Yes.
Take care, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.